Hi everyone, welcome to this session. Before starting today's newspaper analysis, I want to remind you the importance of this habit of reading newspaper daily, and it goes a long way in your CLAT preparation. When you are reading newspaper daily, you are exposed to international issues, national issues, so that forms part of your current affairs and legal GK. That is very relevant whenever you come across a news where the Supreme Court has said something, High Court has said something, there is any ordinance, there is any bill. So any discussion on that forms a very important part of your CLAT preparation. You come across certain words that really enhances your vocabulary. So when you read the editorial, when you read the articles, it is very important to focus on the words that are new, focus on the words that you do not know, so that when you come across such word in the passage in your CLAT paper, you can read the passage easily, in a faster manner. You can solve the question if any question comes directly regarding the vocabulary in your English section. So your English section is sorted, your legal reasoning and legal aptitude is sorted, your current affairs and GK is sorted, and also when you read the editorials, when you read good articles, there is a layer of reasoning involved, and the author is putting some points that you have to appreciate. So that also builds a strong foundation for your critical reasoning and logical reasoning. So, four out of the major five areas that are tested in CLAT is sorted if you just have this one habit of reading the newspaper thoroughly every day. So, in today's session, what we are going to do is we are going to discuss some news that is relevant, and you have to focus on the selection of news. Not everything in the newspaper is important. So, whenever there is a local news, whenever there is a lot of sports news, whenever there is a thing regarding celebrity, everything is not relevant. So the purpose of this session is to so that you appreciate the news that is relevant and how it connects to your CLAT paper. How is it relevant for your CLAT and other law entrance examination? That is what we are going to see today. So let us begin the session. The first news that I found relevant for as far as your CLAT paper is concerned in today's The Hindu is regarding this anticipatory bail and personal liberty. Now, there is this Congress leader, Pawan Kheda. He has been granted anticipatory bail by the Supreme Court. First, understand the issue, then we will talk about anticipatory bail. The issue is that the leader Pawan Kheda, what he did was, he made allegations against the Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma's wife that she has multiple passports and undisclosed assets, and she has passports from countries, from some Islamic countries, and he alleges that the chief minister Himanta Biswa, usually his speeches, his conduct has been such that it is against the minorities. So he is highlighting the hypocrisy, he is highlighting the, you know, how she has multiple passports and how she has undisclosed assets, which was not even disclosed when when Himanta Biswa Sharma, he declared his assets. So that is the issue. So the matter went to the court, and the court granted Pawan Kheda anticipatory bail. You know what bail is? So anticipatory bail is when your anticipation, there is an apprehension, you are anticipating that you might get arrested. So before you get arrested, you get the bail from the anticipatory bail from the court. So it is also known as pre-arrest bail. So before you are arrested, usually what happens is when a person is arrested, he is granted bail depending on the circumstances. But anticipatory bail, even before the arrest, you can approach the court, and if the court feel that there is a reasonable apprehension that you might be arrested, so in that event, you will be given an anticipatory bail. So that is what anticipatory bail is. And why this is important for CLAT is because it talks about very important issue of right to life and personal liberty, Article 21. Article 21, as you know, is one of the most important articles of the Constitution. And Article 21 has been given a very wide scope through various Supreme Court interpretations. It not only covers your right to life, it covers your right to life with dignity. It also includes things like right to clean water, right to speedy trial, right to safe environment, and so many other things. In subsequent rulings, the Supreme Court has expanded the scope of right to life to a large extent. So, just one second. Okay, one second. Okay, so as you can see here, that right to life is involved. Then it also talks about this issue of section 438 of CRPC, which is now section 482 of BNSS. Why this section is important? Because it talks about what we just discussed, anticipatory bail. So as a law student, as a law aspirant, as someone who is going to make a career in law, you should have these information. You should know these sections, that how the anticipatory bail, which was in section 438 of CRPC, is now in section 482 of the BNSS. It also talks about an important aspect. When you read the news, it talks about the special leave petition, because this was a special leave petition. Now, special leave petition is, as given under Article 136 of the Constitution, it's a discretionary power, extraordinary power, where the court can allow appeal from a case. So, apart from the military tribunals, it covers every other appeal. So, that is your Article 136 of the special leave petition. So, the reason why anticipatory bail was granted to Pawan Kheda was that a person's personal liberty is important, and it can be only taken away through a procedure established by law. And in this case, it was found that it was politically motivated, because if you will see I've written some words for your vocab. If you look at the bottom of the slide, you will see there is this word written, anticipatory bail, that we discussed. Custodial interrogation, that is self-sufficient, that when there is an interrogation after the person has been taken into custody. So it talks about that. What I want you to focus on is this word prima facie. What is prima facie? Prima facie means on the face of it. In this case, on the face of it, it seemed that it was politically motivated. Please understand here that Pawan Kheda is from Congress. BJP, Assam Chief Minister is from BJP. He is making allegations against the Assam Chief Minister's wife. So there is a direct link. Prima facie, on the face of it, it looks like it is politically motivated. And the bench, which was headed by Justice J.K. Maheshwari, he said that you cannot strike at a political rival invoking the relevant provisions that were here. So here it looked like politically motivated. So you cannot take away a person's liberty, for your political gain. So that is why the anticipatory bail was granted to Pawan Kheda case. So in this news, what did we understand? First, we understood the issue that there was allegation made. The court granted anticipatory bail because a person's liberty, when taken, it cannot be taken on frivolous grounds. And if prima facie it seems that it is politically motivated, then anticipatory bail can be granted in such cases. So this is what are the key takeaways from this news. Coming to the next relevant news, that is of relevance for as far as your CLAT examination is concerned, law entrance examination is concerned. No offense in Anurag Thakur and Parvesh Singh speeches. So Anurag Thakur, who is a BJP leader, and Parvesh Sahib Singh, they it was alleged that they made hate speeches back in 2020 during anti-CAA protest. CAA was a very important topic back in 2020, and now that it is in the news again, so let's quickly see what the issue was. So the context of the CAA, if you will look in the right side of this slide, with this slide issue with my pen tab, so I cannot highlight that, but if you can see the right side of the slide, it talks about the CAA, Citizenship Amendment Act 2019. So what happened was, this gave an accelerated citizenship to people belonging to the communities Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, Parsis, Christians, those who have migrated from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan before 31st December 2014. They were given an accelerated citizenship. So the way to get the citizenship was relaxed for these specific people. There was a lot of controversy that Muslims are not included in this, and there was a huge protest. And during those protests, this case happened regarding Anurag Thakur and Parvesh Singh. They gave certain speeches that was considered as a hate speech, that was alleged to be a hate speech. So there is a bench of Justice Vikram Nath and Sandeep Mehta. He said that the speeches did not incite violence and they did not target any specific community. So when the speeches did not incite violence, did not target specific community, that means it will not be an offense, it will not be a cognizable offense. That is what happened in this case. Now, how is it relevant for your CLAT paper? How is this news relevant for your CLAT paper? Because it talks about hate speech, and that comes under the Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution of India, that talks about freedom of speech and expression. How much can you express? What should be the reasonable restriction in your thoughts and expressions? If you are using Facebook, if you are using any social media platform, and you are writing something, so if that is within the confines of your freedom of speech and expression, that is fine. However, there are reasonable restrictions. If you violate those, then there can be trouble. Then that can be considered as a hate speech, or a lot of other things, that if the typical debate between free speech and hate speech law. So the petitioners allege that the speech is made on January 27 and 28 of 2020 at Shaheen Bagh protest. They are will not be considered as a hate speech. So we know about hate speech. If you will see the right side of the PPT here, the Shreya Singhal versus Union of India. Why is it important? This is not given in the news. I have used it here because this is a very important landmark case that talks about freedom of speech and expression. Let's quickly look at this case. In this case, what happened was that there was Article 66A of the Information Technology Act 2000, and that was declared unconstitutional because arrest made for a Facebook post, arrest made for a social media post, it cannot be on arbitrary ground. The arrest cannot be on a vague ground. So it has to be specific. It should fall within the confines of the letters of law. And Article 66A of the IT Act 2000 violated this principle. So remember this Shreya Singhal versus Union of India case, where Article 66A of the Information Technology Act was declared unconstitutional. So we know about Citizenship Amendment Act, which was about the citizenship, which amended the Citizenship Act of 1955 to give the citizenship to the migrants of the specific communities that I mentioned. We know about Shreya Singhal case, we know about CAA case, we know, and also there is this IPC section 153A and section 505. Of course, we have BNS now. So it was about promoting enmity between the groups. So when we talk about freedom of speech and expression, you have to be very careful that whatever you are speaking, whatever you are writing, whatever you are expressing, that has to be within the reasonable restrictions mentioned in Article 19 of the Constitution of India. And Article 19 Clause 2 specifically gives reasonable restrictions, that it should not disturb public order, it should not incite to violence. So these things become relevant with this news. So moving forward. Okay, now this is very interesting development, because as you know that the elections were going on in West Bengal. So Election Commission ordered that at least one counting supervisor or assistant should be there at each table for West Bengal Assembly election, and he should be from a central government or a CPSU employee. So now please understand the issue here. Election Commission is saying that during the election, one counting supervisor or assistant will be a central government employee. Now TMC has problem with that. Trinamool Congress challenged the Election Commission order, and why? They said that, see, the central government employee who is directly in control of the central government, will definitely, there is an element of bias in such an arrangement. And it uses the word here, looks see here, okay, just one second, okay, look at the words here. It says manifest and reasonable apprehension of bias. I'm really sorry, the pen tab is not working, otherwise I would have highlighted it. But if you can look at the fourth point in the PPT, it talks about manifest and reasonable apprehension of bias. So when a central government employee is sitting in the state election, there is a manifest and reasonable apprehension bias according to TMC that he will work in favor of the central government, which is currently run by the BJP government. So there was an apprehension. Now the Bengal CEO said that the strong rooms have CCTV surveillance round the clock, and there is so there is no such issue as such. Now what becomes important here for your CLAT perspective here is that Article 324 of the Constitution of India. What is Article 324? It talks about the superintendence of elections vested in Election Commission. So how the Election Commission will supervise the elections, and what are the powers that are vested with the Election Commission, all that you can see under Article 324. Now this petition, the TMC, when challenged the Selection Commission order, the Calcutta High Court dismissed the challenge, invoking Article 329B. What is Article 329B? Article 329B says that there is a bar on judicial interference during the elections, and only it can be entertained through an election petition. This issue, that a central government employee is sitting in the West Bengal election, this can be challenged through an election petition and not on otherwise this will be a judicial interference. If the judiciary interference now, that will be considered as a judicial interference, so it should be an election petition and not this challenge that the TMC made. So that is about Article 329B, which talks about the bar on judicial interference during the Election Commission. Election Commission, as you know, is a constitutional body. It is responsible for conduct of elections throughout the country, state elections, all the elections that we have here. And there is a model code of conduct. So whenever the election happens, when the schedule of